I think there were more people that honestly did not want to see me succeed. It was kind of an old boys club. And there were some ladies in the ranks too that also just, I was a kid to them. I was probably the age of their children.
And you look very young. I mean, even now. So I could only imagine.
So I looked like a kid. And, but again, like back to the earlier conversation, it's really about putting the work in and earning their respect. I remember. And it was a union shop, so you had to be a little careful. You can't go there and work side by side with them without getting a grievance and all this kind of stuff, right? So, but I remember sitting down after I tried to do that and got a grievance filed against me, and sitting down with the union president and said, "Hey, listen, I need to try to do what you do for a period of time so that I can think like you think and understand what your challenges are." So they gave me a pass for a week where I could work any union job I wanted next to union folks. So,
and did they do that typically, or was this an
I don't think anybody had ever asked, honestly.
Amazing what happens when you open the lines of communications.
So I loaded a truck. I loaded it high and tight, as they say.
Yeah. I've heard that before, actually.
I, loaded a truck on my own. I got my fork truck license.
Oh, my God.
Which I didn't use after that week. But really, my mission was to try to, kind of spend a day in the life in their shoes and earn their respect by showing that, not that I wanted to outdo them, but that I was willing to do the work. And so it worked out. So it worked out, and I definitely won the respect, I think, of a lot of people.
On both sides, the union and your team. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think for some of the management team, my peers that were more naysayers, it took time, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And there's a couple that I don't think I ever won over.
And that's fine.
Kind of who cares?
Yeah, right. They're not your people. They're not your tribe.
We got along. I don't need to be best friends with everybody. You know? So we were able to work together. But I think there comes a point where you say, listen, I'm trying to get 95% of the folks in my court, and then there's one or two that you can't, and you just say, okay, well, how are we going to work together otherwise?
I actually think that's a really genius way to think about it, because I think a lot of people spend too much time on the one or two people.
Yeah.
You just kind of got to mentally move on at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you shortchange everybody else, right?
Yeah, because you're focusing on the two. Yeah.
Yeah. So just be authentic to who you are. If you're being a good person, you're being good to people, you're
doing the right thing.
Yeah. Then move on. And try, and that is, I'd say, one of the things I learned early on is you get thick skin. I even say today, I can shed my skin every 7 days like a snake if I need to.
I have a snake pin on, by the way, everybody.
You do, that's right. Because I mean, you just, if this is no popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not looking to be a jerk.
Right.
But I'm also I'm not building a fan club. That's not really the goal.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love this for even young girls, because I think they do worry, especially with social media, so much about who's wearing what and what does that person think about me. And that is something I try to instill in my daughter, like, don't worry about the opinions of others.
Yeah.
You can't get too hung up on the praise, because then you're going to get too hung up on the criticism as well.
I agree. And, I mean, it's a fine line to be confident but not arrogant.
Yeah.
And so I do think as a young woman, as someone new in their career, especially when you're leading people, finding the balance where you're striking the right level of empathy, and it's got to be legitimate and sincere, with at the same time confidence and kind of knowing who your audience is, and striking the right balance is a tricky thing. But I think once you figure it out, it really dials up your ability to lead people, because people are willing to follow someone that they trust and respect.
Yeah, and I think the story about you going and talking to the union is knowing your audience. They have different goals in mind than probably Levi's did, and so you kind of got to understand both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing I did that I think was the first time someone had done it, that I think worked for me to build respect, at least at the ground level, was when I was the leader of this facility, I would take one department every morning, and I'd have 1 hour carved out, the very first hour of my day, from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. And I would literally talk to every single person in that department. Throughout the course of the week, I got to everybody, because I hit one department every day. And then when the night shift came in, which was 2:30, when I was the plant manager, I'd do the same thing with them.
So even your managers and then their team and down to individual contributors.
And I would go, all the way. And most of the folks at this plant were kind of tied to a line. They were standing at a packing station, so I was able to catch them.
Yeah.
But it became commonplace, right? And what I wanted to do it because I wanted an opportunity to connect with people, and to really kind of understand a bit offline what's motivating them, what's frustrating them, what's the water cooler talk, what are the things that people don't understand that I can bring clarity to. Likely in larger group settings, then, to kind of set the record straight.
Sure. Because if one person's thinking it, there's probably five more. Yeah.
What's the pulse with the union? It just helped me to understand kind of the fabric of everything that was going on in the plant. And there were some people, back to my earlier point, that didn't want me to talk to them. Like out of 100 people, there were maybe 4 that literally, like, they could see me coming.
Like, why is she here? What is she? Yeah.
And they would give me one-word answers. They wouldn't make eye contact. And again, it was just a couple people. But I said to them, I said, so, I could tell you're not happy that I'm here. You don't want to talk. And they said, no, I don't. I said, okay, well, I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to stop by in case you ever change your mind. I don't want you to think that your opinion doesn't matter to me, because it does. But I respect the fact that you don't have anything that you want to share.
Yeah.
So, again, back to the earlier point, I think, you can always try to win people over, but there comes a point where you just kind of say, not everybody's going to be interested.